I've had over 200 farmers on my podcast. Some spend over $30,000 in their first year. Others started for less than the cost of a used laptop. And here's the part that nobody tells you. The amount you spend in the beginning has almost no correlation with how successful the farm becomes. In fact, some of the worst outcomes I've seen have came from people who had the most money to spend. Today, I'm breaking down the 7 real startup costs from actual farmers, what they bought, what they skipped, and the one spending mistake that kills more new farms than bad weather ever will. I'm Diego Diego. Welcome to Modern Grower, and let's get into it. Number 7, the high end. Farmer Michael Russo, a former executive chef with no farming experience, pulled up his QuickBooks and told me he spent $30,000 in his first 12 months of farming. That included a caterpillar tunnel, a paper pot transplanter, a Jang seeder, and commercial refrigerators that he sourced through his previous job selling restaurant equipment. It sounds like a lot, but every dollar was a one-time purchase. He funded it entirely with cash from his previous salary, no debt, and at the end of his first season, with most revenue coming in just a few months, he nearly broke even. The $30,000 number is real, but it's the ceiling and not the floor. And what made it work wasn't the spending. It was that every purchase either grew a crop or kept a crop cold. Nothing decorative, nothing aspirational, nothing just in case, just the essentials. Number 6, on my podcast, farmer Jodi Roebuck, who now runs a profitable market garden in New Zealand, told me something that surprised a lot of listeners. He said if you've saved up $10,000 to start a farm business, try and start with just $3,500. Not all 10, keep the rest for a buffer. This was his logic. You dig deep financial holes by buying too much stuff. And when you dig that hole, you take away a safety buffer. If things go wrong, if the business is slower than expected, and you start checking your bank account daily, that stress is going to trickle into everything. You stop making good decisions. When Jody started his farm, his tool collection was a single Jang seeder, one tilter, and a greens harvester. His wash pack area was open to the elements on 2 sides. They didn't have a walk-in cooler, and that came later. They traded time for money whenever they could. That wasn't the failure of planning, it was the plan. Number 5, here's what the data actually says about startup spending and farm survival. There's a quote I shared on my podcast from Darren Doherty, a well-known agricultural consultant. He said some of the worst farms are the ones designed by people with a bunch of money. When money isn't a constraint, people become buyers, not farmers and not business owners. Just because you can buy something doesn't mean you're running a business, and just because you buy farm equipment doesn't mean you have a farm. And I've seen this pattern across years of interviews. Farms that overspend early on infrastructure before they even know what their market wants dig themselves into a hole that revenue will never be able to fill fast enough. It's like putting off-road tires on an SUV that just sits there in traffic. You've built capacity that you simply cannot use. Meanwhile, Michael Bell started his farming part-time in Dallas. When I asked him about his startup costs, he said you could save a couple $100 a month for 6 months and have enough to start growing. Start growing in the spring, take that first season's revenue, invest in a caterpillar tunnel that winter, and just cycle the profits. That's it. He told me that the most expensive item in the beginning is probably the tunnel, a few $1,000s, and beyond that, you're well under $5,000 in total startup costs, and most of what you need you can buy at stores like Lowe's. Number 4, I run a farm supply company, Modern Grower, that serves market gardeners, so I know what people want to buy and I know what people actually buy. But more importantly, from talking to so many farmers on the podcast, I know what you actually need versus what you think you need. Here's a short, quick, essential starter list. A direct seeder. Think JP1. With the rollers, it's enough to get you started for about $600. A landscape rake for bed prep, a tilther is great. It's going to make that bed prep so much easier. Silage tarps for weed control, an irrigation system, cell trays, and a basic propagation setup. You can get metro racks from someplace like Costco, basic LED lights, and some decent seed trays to get started. You don't need the fancy ones in year one. Harvest knife, a cooler, your existing car to do deliveries. And here's all the stuff you don't need. A paper pot transplanter, a 5-row seeder, a commercial level salad spinner, a walk-in cooler, a tractor. Every one of those can be very valuable at scale, but none of them is necessary to start making money. Jodi Roebuck talked about this in one of the podcast discussions we had. You want a 5-row Jang, but you start with something simpler. $600 versus $2,500 and you save $1,900. If you outgrow that initial purpose, great. That's a good problem. Start simple, start small, start with less than you think you need. Number 3, Jody made a point on my podcast that I think new farmers miss entirely. He said not enough people sit down and build a spreadsheet of what it's actually going to cost before they start. You think about the seeder, sure, but what about the 10 rollers that go with the seeder? That's another $300 or $400 that people don't account for. Is there power to the site? Is there water on the site? Do you have to build fencing? These costs can add up quickly before you put a single seed in the ground. Compost can also be another huge cost, at roughly $10 per bed per application, which is reasonable in most markets. That adds up across 50 or 100 beds over the course of a season. Seed, soil, amendments, packaging, market fees, insurance. These are costs that bleed you slowly because no single one feels significant, and they're usually not on the tools to buy list that people put together in the beginning, so they overlook them. And then there's refrigeration, so crucial. In one case, somebody, Michael Bell, who I interviewed, he had worked at a restaurant equipment store prior to getting into farming, so he was able to get some scratch and dent commercial refrigerators. But most people don't have those types of connections. Even with used restaurant coolers, you're talking thousands of dollars. But you need some type of refrigeration, and without cold storage, your product's going to go from great to poor very poorly. Farmer Alex Smith, who I talked to on the Farm Startup podcast, talked all about having a lot of small, regular refrigerators. So do what you have to in the beginning, but generally, starting with less, starting simple, is better than going all in. And make your budget. Think about the whole year, everything you're going to need up front, so none of these costs are big surprises when you're in the middle of the season. Number 2, the business breakdown. These are based on real farm numbers from my podcast, and startup costs fall into 3 tiers. Tier 1, the backyard startup. Here we're talking about under $5,000. Totally possible. You're farming open field or with a caterpillar tunnel, basic seeder hand tools, homemade wash station, used coolers, propagation rack. This is how a lot of people get started. You're most likely selling to a handful of CSA customers or going to a farmer's market. And this is where farmer Michael Bell operates. Part-time, grows a limited number of crops in Dallas, Texas, and he used well under $5,000 to get started. Tier number 2, the committed startup, $10,000 to $15,000. You get a tunnel or two, a quality seeder, proper irrigation, a real propagation setup, and basic cold storage. That's where farmer Jen at Sonaterra Farm landed. They spent $3,000 to $4,000 on a single hoop house and shade system, plus irrigation and silage tarps. Tier 3 is a full build out. This is the $25,000 to $30,000 level, multiple tunnels, all the equipment, paper pot transplanter, precision seeder, all the rollers, refrigeration to the gods. This is Michael Russo's number. It's a real farm from day one, but it requires either significant savings or an off farm income to fund it. And if it doesn't work, look how big of a hole you're in. So you have to be very careful that you time this right. Don't pick a tier based on ambition. Pick it based on what you can afford to lose. If a $10,000 loss would cause financial stress to your household, start smaller. Start at tier 1. Your first season is more about learning what sells, learning how to grow. It's not about maximizing production and making the most money. You can always scale up later. You can always upgrade equipment later. You often, though, cannot go backwards. You can't sell equipment that was expensive for what you bought it for. You're going to take a loss, and you cannot undo overspending. Every dollar that you send off your farm is a dollar that took real hours to earn. I said this on my podcast, and I'll say it again. Think about how long it takes you to save $10,000 after taxes. For most people, that's months and months of work. You can spend $10,000 online on farm equipment in an afternoon. So be very careful and pump the brakes. Number 1, here's the thing that makes all of this work, or none of it matters. Before you spend a dollar on tools or tunnels, you need to answer one question. Who's going to buy what you grow? Jody told me that this was his biggest fear during his startup. He was spending money, working long days, building out infrastructure, but he had no business experience and no idea how he was going to sell anything. He started simple with a buyer's club, 7 families. They bought salad and root vegetables. His income was, in his words, insignificant, but it proved the concept. It gave him feedback. It showed him what people actually wanted. That's the real startup cost of a market garden. Not the tools, not the tunnel. It's the time it takes to find 5 or 10 people who will buy your food every single week. Once you have that, you know exactly how much to grow, which tells you which tools you need and exactly how much you're going to have to spend. Michael Bell started by posting a picture of lettuce on his neighborhood Facebook group. He got 20 customers without leaving his subdivision. Tony Barlow earned just enough his first year to buy seeds for the next season. These aren't failure stories. It's not underachieving. It's achieving in a very smart way. They're foundation stories. The farm that makes it isn't the one that buys the most or the best equipment. I know it looks cool on Instagram, but really doesn't help you do the job at the end of the day. You still have to do the work and sell the stuff. The farm that makes it is the one that matches its spending to its sales from day one. Now, go build a business, not just a farm. And I'll see you in the next one. I'm Diego, Diego. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.